The most important part of our study is that at least some men who identify as bisexual have the same kind of orientation that we would expect a man to mean when he says that he's straight or gay. Prior to this, I think that a lot of people kind of bought into the stereotype that bisexual men are somehow self-deluded gay men or extremely open-minded straight men. And while there certainly may be bisexual identified men who fall into those categories, there are also bisexual men who experience strong attractions to men and women, which would be sort of the common understanding of the term. Earlier studies that had looked at the arousal patterns of bisexual men had found that on average they had arousal patterns that looked just like gay men, which is to say that they only got strongly aroused to videos showing two men and they didn't get aroused at all or very much to videos showing two women. There were some weaknesses in those earlier studies, however. So for example, a lot of the bisexual men were recruited through gay student unions, gay magazines. Additionally, there weren't any inclusion criteria that were used to make sure that the men who were coming into these studies had had adequate sexual or romantic histories with members of both sexes. Initially, we were looking for bisexual participants in a room of Craigslist for gay men who were looking for male sexual partners, and we weren't having much luck. It was then that I discovered a room on Craigslist called the Casual Encounters Room, and there's different sub-rooms within this where people place personal wanted ads for either a date or a sexual encounter. In particular, I found a room called the MW for M room. This is a room of ads placed by a man and a woman for a man, MW for M. And in this room, heterosexual couples place ads where they're seeking a man to come join them in a threesome. And we reasoned that men perusing these ads in particular would be likely to have strong sexual interest in both men and women. In our study, we required that our bisexual participants had to have had at least two sexual partners of each sex and at least one romantic relationship of at least 3 months' length with one man and with one woman. The bisexual men in our study did get strongly aroused to videos of two women as well as videos of two men, establishing that there is in fact a bisexual orientation among men. The technique that we use in our lab is called penile plethysmography. The root of the word plethysmography means to record changes. And so what penile plethysmography involves is a man wears a small gauge that looks just like this around the base of his penis, and it measures increases in the girth of his penis, usually while he's watching erotic video stimuli. The important stimuli that we show are videos of two men having sex and videos of two women having sex, and that's because if a man experiences arousal to those kinds of videos, you know that he's getting aroused to either men or women, respectively. We also show heterosexual sex scenes, but because there's something in it for everyone, usually men's arousal to that doesn't allow us to differentiate different kinds of men. One thing that we noticed is that a lot of the bisexual participants, as they came out of the experiment, would tell us how glad they were that we were doing this kind of research and that they wanted to have their orientation and their identity validated by the scientific community, especially after a number of earlier studies had concluded that virtually all bisexual men don't have bisexual arousal patterns.